All right. I'd like to call the September 16th, 2020 Green Vernon Commission to order. Commissioner Alley, could you lead us in the flag salute, please? And if anybody is participating from home, could you please mute your speaker?
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, Secretary, could you please call roll?
Yes, Chair Alley, Chair Dar. Sorry, Vice Chair Franz.
Present.
Commissioner Alley.
Here.
Commissioner Brown.
Here.
Commissioner Morfin.
Here. Commissioner
Perez is absent. You have a quorum.
Secretary, do we have any changes to the agenda?
There are none.
May I have a motion to approve the agenda?
I motion to approve the agenda.
Motion approved agenda.
Motion by Commissioner Brown, seconded by Commissioner Alley to approve the agenda. I'll call the roll. Being that it's a remote meeting, I have to call the roll for every motion. Chair Dar.
Yes, here.
Vice Chair Franz.
Yes, here.
We can just say yes for
Yes.
approving the agenda. Thank you. Commissioner Brown.
Yes.
Commissioner Morfin.
Yes.
Commissioner Perez is not here. Motion carries. Did I skip you?
You did.
Commissioner Alley.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, now we'll take public comments from members of the audience. At this time, the public is encouraged to address the commission on any matter that is within the subject matter jurisdiction of the Green Vernon Commission. The public will also be given a chance to comment on matters which are the posted agenda during the commission deliberation on these specific matters. Do you have any speakers?
I do not believe we have any
Okay.
speakers.
All right, that takes care of that. We'll now go to presentations.
Sorry. Item number 1 is selection of chair and vice chair. So each year, the commission selects one of its members to serve as chair and one to serve as vice chair. The municipal code requires that the chair and vice chair be from different appointing categories. The categories, currently the chair has the opportunity to continue to serve another year based on the timing of the meetings. And he is in the business representative position, and the vice chair is also a business representative. So we may want to consider finding different representing bodies, but it would be appropriate for a motion to appoint, nominate somebody to serve as chair and somebody to serve as vice chair.
I can stay as chair, that's fine.
Okay, I nominate Ron Dare to remain as chair for one more year.
Is there a second to that motion?
Yes.
I second the motion.
Motion by Commissioner Brown, seconded by Commissioner Morfin to have Ron Dare remain as chair. I will call the roll. Is it Dare or Dar?
Dare.
Dare. Chair Dare.
Yes.
Vice Chair Franz.
Yes.
Commissioner Alley.
Yes.
Commissioner Brown.
Yes.
Commissioner Morfin.
Yes.
Motion carries. Now it would be appropriate for a motion to select a vice chair.
Okay, and we can't have the current vice chair if he wants to remain. Can he remain, or because he's business, he cannot remain?
The municipal code does state that they should come from differing appointing bodies.
I can be appointed to either one. I do environmental regulatory compliance and I'm in the business. So you can move me to another category if that makes it easier.
So does Mr. Franz want to be chair?
Well, he could stay as chair. He's saying he'd just
Oh,
be a
you
different
say as
appointing
Just move
category.
the category so that, yeah.
Well, can you do that?
I don't know.
I'd have, No, he's saying he's appointed currently he's indicated as a business representative, but he could be an environmental representative.
I could fill either slot.
I think if this body's comfortable with having the longest tenured member serving as chair and vice chair, that would be okay. The city attorney's not giving me horrible. I mean, I think it's not really a municipal code section that's going to be detrimental if we don't
It's
follow
probably
it.
best since the
Know what
rest of us are new.
Right.
If we can't do that, I mean, I'm sure one of us can go in as a.
Yeah, I'm indifferent in terms of if it would be best to relinquish my vice chair, which it would be fine by me.
But you're fine with the remaining, correct?
Either way.
Okay.
Yes, correct.
Okay, then I nominate Alan France as vice chair.
I'll
I'll
second.
second.
Motion by Commissioner Brown, seconded by Chair Dare to nominate Vice Chair Franz as vice chair. Chair Dare,
Yes.
Vice Chair Franz,
Yes.
Commissioner Alley,
Yes.
Commissioner Brown,
Yes.
Commissioner Morfin.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Go to the consent calendar. All members listed on the consent calendar are to be approved with one motion. Items may be removed from the consent calendar by any member of the commission. Those items removed will be considered immediately after the consent calendar. Does any member of the commission wish to pull the item from the consent calendar?
No.
Are there any public comments for the consent calendar? Say no. We have a motion for the consent calendar item number 2.
You want to?
Oh, yes. Motion that.
I'll
Ron?
second it.
Can I have you ask to speak into your mic?
I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's not a problem. Thank you.
Sorry, motion by Commissioner Alley, seconded by Chair Dare to approve the consent calendar. Chair Dare?
Now we'll go to
Nope, I'm calling the roll
Oh, I'm sorry.
on the
Yes.
motion. Vice Chair Franz,
Yes.
Commissioner Alley,
Yes.
Commissioner Brown,
Yes.
Commissioner Morfin.
Yes.
Motion carries. Now we can go to new
Now
business.
we'll go to new business.
Item number 3 is Vernon Sustainability Action Plan, and Health and Environmental Control Director Ajan will present the report.
Good afternoon, commissioners, and thank you for joining us. Did everybody get a chance to look at Vernon Sustainability Action Plan?
Yes.
Okay, thank you for at least reviewing it. So actually, I think you are aware it was done in 2011.
Yes.
So it needs a major update and a major upgrade. So just to kind of give you a little background on that, Vernon has been very proactive with businesses and the city trying to make sure that, not only we're meeting our sustainability goal, but we're also being proactive with businesses to see how they're doing that. When that report came before I came to Vernon reading, it really have great ideas in it. It has, I think they were ahead of their time when that was put together, when you go over it. The only kind of drawback, or the only thing I've noticed when I came on board was there wasn't a measurable goals that I can go back and say, okay, let's check this box, this is done, or we need to do this. So, and 2011, we're in 2020 right now. So things have changed. One big example is coming in 2022, SB 1383, which is the state mandate for reduce organic waste, is going to be really impacting all of us. Businesses are going to be really have to be dug in, making sure it's happening. Jurisdiction are going to be now the state is going to make us responsible to make sure businesses are doing that. So that is one thing that is going to impact all of us. And really, when you look at it, that is almost ground zero about everything else that is going to come after, right? Waste, how we manage it, what we do with it. So what we asking the commission to do is basically to provide us a direction to update the 2011 action plan that was put together, and then kind of get your feedback what we need to kind of do, how we want to prioritize. So with your direction, we want to go back and kind of look at this action plan again, and then put a priority together and bring it back on the next meeting, and have you guys, or if you have anything that you think the commission, I mean, we as staff should be working on, include on the updated action plan. So we can bring it up, and then we have a discussion, and with you guys approval, staff can start working on it. So.
Has staff looked at composting for the organic? Because we're talking not only green waste, but also putrescibles and stuff from garbage.
Yes, so we're looking at all, because one is a state mandate, and actually composting is really on the pyramid is very low on that level. Reusable is one. You know, we have a lot of businesses in Vernon that in the food industry. We have a lot of produce businesses in Vernon. So really is to reuse first, right? Before you even think about composting or being given it. So those are things we want to look at. How do we work with businesses to make sure that that food and that is really good to eat, because it's just a surplus that wasn't sold or something. How do we make sure that that food go to a place where it can be used again? And then if it can't, this is where the composting comes in. So those are the plans we want to look and put together. How do we do that? One of the things I think we want to look at is right now, you see there's a lot of electric vehicles going around and in the city. Is it a way that, you know, the city can look and partner with business about having charging stations available? Things like that. When you look at our infrastructure, our traffic, you know, there's so many things in there that I think this Green Commission we can take a look at and then prioritize what are the things that, you know, we need to work. Because I want to make sure if we're doing this, we want to come back to the commission with actionable items of actually timeframes, things that you can hold me accountable, right? Because at the end of the day, I want to make sure this is being done. However, SB 1383, it's a state mandate. So we don't even have an option. Just as a city and as a commission, how do we do to leverage it and partner with businesses to make sure that it's not become something that's more enforceable, but something that they're doing anyway. And all we're doing is augment what they're doing to make sure that it's being done. So it doesn't become something that we have to turn around and force for them to do it.
Sure.
So are you looking for us to come up with ideas and submit them to you, or how do we?
So that's one, but what I think with this item is actually to give us direction, right? That, hey, this thing is 2011. It needs to be revised. We need to go direct staff to go back and work on this and come back with something that you guys can look at. Exactly. So in doing so, if you have an idea you want to send out to put in as a report to come back, that will be included in that report.
So that's the staff in your department?
Yes.
Okay.
Do we have, in the report, there's several tables that talk about action plans and targets and actions. Do we have updates on achievements of those? Because a lot of them were due by 2020. So for example, on table 4, it talked about utilize at least 33% renewable power in city facilities by 2020. Do we have status on that?
Yeah, unfortunately, we don't have anything tangible to report, but that's one that staff is doing. We're trying to collect some of this information so we can bring it forward. But to be really honest, I don't think we're going to meet most of the goals that we set.
Do we have any data from when this was first started in 2011 to show any achievements or?
We have some data. So when it comes to working with businesses and kind of going out to business and talking to them to see what they were doing to reduce waste, we have data on it. We are visiting businesses, but as I mentioned earlier, I don't think when the plan was put in, we actually put a matrix, right? That, hey, every year we'll visit, let's say 50 businesses and make sure they're doing it. And then we go back to see that's actually happened. Those hard data we don't have, but we have data about doing visits to the businesses.
So the city's identified those businesses that are impacted by the regulation.
Right. So they tend to be, all businesses will be impacted, right? Because if you use electricity, you generate waste, whatever you're doing, all that is included. What I think when I say we don't have a hard data is we don't have a hard data to tell you and say, oh, in 2016, we visit 300 facilities. And then a year later, we went back and, and saw that half of them are still maintaining what they, what we work with them to do. That hard data we don't have. Those are the matrices that wasn't put together to make sure that we go back as with the visits and that they're actually following or doing. Because I know business in Vernon, some of them are doing a great job. They're doing excellent things. Just since we don't have anything to track and measure, it's hard to give you something. So, oh yeah, business A went through it or they did so and so. We don't have that.
Well, now, like with US Ecology last year, we installed all LED lights for all of our exterior lighting. So I would imagine the city does have records of those kind of projects that were undertaken
Right.
in the past.
And that will be our
9
VPU
years.
or we'll get that information.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is there a budget to redo this report that was done in 2011 and or what does that consist of and what?
Great question, Commissioner and Vice President. This is exactly why we want the direction, right? So when you do directives, part of it is, what is going to be the cost in order to do the work. So that will be the report that will come back to you.
Meaning what the budget would be to do the report?
Not only to write the report, but things that, what we report is things that we think based on your direction, that these are things we need to prioritize, and based on what we're going to do, what we think the cost estimate will be to do that work.
So you want us as the commission to give you and your staff direction to develop here's the direction we want the report to go and give us a budget.
That's correct.
Okay. And for example, for things like the electricity information that the city of Vernon has the data, come up with a table that matches current to expectation in 2020.
That's correct.
And then for the other things, take a survey of key businesses and give a metric, 2 years from now or 5 years from now or what have you.
That's correct. So
Okay.
basically we're doing this current plan and not coming out with what the new plan is going to be and then what are the matrix and what are some of the requirements exactly.
Right. And then is SB 1383, is that something that you want carved out because it's not really addressed at all in the report?
Right. So when we do the new plan, that will be included because
as
that
an
came
addenda
after
this.
the 2011. That's
Okay.
correct.
Is the city working with any other firms to put together this report? Or just city personnel working together to put together the report?
We use outside contractor to do it. So again, based on the work, we may use people that have expertise that we may not have in the city to help us develop that. But that is all part of coming up. What is the plan, right? For this, once we identify and prioritize what we're going to do, then obviously we need to put a report. This is what it's going to be. At that point, when the report writing and expertise, what would the city need to do? those are all the things that it may be, we need to get an outside contractor to look at some of these things. And that's where the budgeting and all that comes in.
In my opinion, we would need to do, I would recommend we would do part of the next report would entail audit, kind of evaluating what the original report in 2011 and what it achieved, so we could understand which parts of the report actually did work or recommendations and which ones we would want to improve for the next review.
So to clarify, you say that you would like to validate it?
I wouldn't say necessarily validate. I think a lot of the targets and actions that were listed in the report, we should understand which ones worked and which ones didn't.
Okay.
So that the next report would, either put mechanisms in place to shore them up if they're not working, or maybe they're just. I don't know why we wouldn't have something that would evaluate how we did on the last report. It seemed doing another analysis without any review of the actions is it would be not a good use of funds if we're just going to do a report for the sake of doing a report.
Right. I think what you're saying is there was probably some progress made by the city on that last report.
Yep. As an example, my company we did LED lights and we did some high energy efficient motors as well, and we did that because the city of Vernon had that as something we could do, and we did it, and both people won. So that to me is a good thing. And but there's probably other things in the report that were there that maybe just never got used or never bared fruit. So we should understand what those things are.
Right, but I think the issue with the evaluation and even developing targets or metrics moving forward is that outside of the city utility that they have all the data, they're reliant on all the businesses to submit data, which I don't think is very practical. So if they've got, if the commission says, okay, target so many food companies and so many whatever manufacturing and Owens Corning or whomever, and you have 10 or 15 companies that you evaluate their metrics, like your 2 companies on the list, then that gives the staff the direction of how to send surveys out and how to develop metrics.
And also to add to our commissioner friends, we're not proposing, your direction is not to come and write another report. That is not. This sustainability thing was done in 2011. And like I said, for example, SB 1383 was not included. So in itself needs to be updated, right? So part of it coming back, it only needs to be updated, say what else worked and it didn't work. And when you see that report can be generated. But yeah, I don't want to do another report to make it look pretty just we have this. I think what we want the direction is we have a 2011 action plan that was put together and it needs to be updated because things have changed. So we want to update that. And in doing so, what else do we learn from that experience from 2011 to now? And can we show, like you guys say, you did your LED light. So do we have that data to provide? And if we're not, instead of looking in the past, how do we move forward? And this is what I mentioned earlier, having some kind of a matrix that actually included in whatever it comes back that says, in year 2 or year 3, this is what we're going to do. So that the next commission, or if you're still on the commission, you can hold it and say, hey, you said you were reporting back, this is what was going to be what happened. And I think that is what is missing in the 2011. Because I agree, some of this work's probably been done. I know business have done great jobs and see LED buildings and all that, but I cannot provide you that data as we speak.
So the commission needs to ask you to update this report.
Exactly.
So can I make a motion that we update the report?
One more question before we move
I'm sorry.
on. How long would this take roughly?
Right now, I don't have a time frame.
Okay.
But based on then we'll prioritize what needs to be done.
Yeah, I have another question, sorry, before we do that. Most of the current, the 2011 report, a lot of the metrics or graphs were based on City of Vernon controlled information, like how much lighting you use and how much greenhouse gas you do. The bulk of everything is the businesses.
Right.
So do you want in the new report a focus more on the actual businesses?
Both.
You want both?
Yes, I think we believe the city needs to set an example also,
Right.
right? So we want to show both.
Right. And to the chair and vice chair's point, I think the private businesses have done a lot.
Yep.
You just haven't been able to capture the data. So if you get like a sample population, then you can extrapolate the city has saved X.
Exactly.
Okay.
Would the proposed motion be to, is the proposed motion to understand what the budget is or how much it'll cost to update the report? Or is it to go ahead and update the report? Like, what would the commission be able to motion to do? Does that make sense?
Well, I think at this point, they're kind of locked into updating the report, or something the city's going to have to do, correct?
Right, and it's at the commission discretion, like this is how you want to phrase it or how you want to change it to see, because that's what you want to see. And then staff will go and work on it or come back and says, either we did have this or we didn't have that, this is what we're able to do.
So I think the motion is to give direction to staff what to do and to come back with a time frame and estimated cost based on, because all of that's going to depend on what we're asking them to do.
I think the motion might need to be to direct staff to determine if there's a budget, and if not, request that the city council allocate funds for this endeavor to update the plan. Do you know if there's money? I'm
No,
trying to find out
there's-
from
there's-
finance.
There's
Yeah,
no
that's-
budget.
Oh, there is no budget. So, but will a budget get allocated if you ask for it?
We'd have to, the commission should make a recommendation that the city council allocate funds to update the 2011 plan.
There's no budget.
And I'd like to make a motion that the city council allot funds to revise and update the report.
So a motion by Chair Dare, to recommend that the city council allocate funds to the Green Vernon Commission to update the report. Is there a second?
I second the motion.
I'm sorry, before
I'd
allocate
have
to the
to-
commission or to the department, to staff?
To staff,
Okay.
to allocate
But-
funds towards the plan.
Now, what,
Shouldn't there
I
be an
still
understanding of how much those funds are? I think we should need to understand what
Yeah.
that amount is. Like, I think we need to understand what that report update would cost, and then we make a recommendation to the council based on that.
I agree.
Not in the position to estimate the cost.
We can get, we weren't sure, but we can get a estimate right and bring it back.
Yeah.
And I would make a motion to determine what it would be to update the report, as well as evaluate what the recommendations from the previous report, how those recommendations came to fruition or not. And even if we don't have, so I don't know how we phrase that, but I think it's kind of a two-piece thing in my mind.
I think wouldn't that be part of revising the report, is understanding what progress they made from 2011? And they're not going to be able to accomplish that without at least getting some funding to get that information together.
I mean, is that what we're talking about here? We're talking about funding to evaluate progress for 2011, or funding to start a new updated plan? Because if we're talking about a new updated plan, I do think we need to see cost and then really a breakdown. I mean, how are we going to make sure we capture the data, since we spent money in 2011 to do this and we can't really show anything for it? Oh, so how are we
Does
going to
anyone-
make sure the city has the data?
How much was the original report in 2011 to do? Do we have the data on that?
Unfortunately, I don't know that. I haven't seen any costs or receipts, or I know it was done externally, but I don't have the cost.
I'd make a motion to have staff determine a budgeted cost for evaluation and update of the 2011 report.
I'd second that.
So you're making an alternate motion?
Yes.
Okay, I have a question, a practical question. Can the staff work on this if there's no money in the budget? Do they have time to work on it?
That's tough.
That's tough.
Yes.
So is that a no?
Yes and no.
Okay,
Yes.
so.
Can the staff work on providing costs, determining costs to
Oh, no,
update the
that we
plan?
can
Yes.
work on.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Are you asking, can we provide, to determine a cost, can we work on or updating the plan?
Okay, I
Cost
guess,
to update the plan. an
Oh, yeah,
estimate.
that we can get cost estimate. Definitely, yes.
okay. All right.
I second that for cost estimate.
Got it. So the alternate motion is to direct staff to determine the cost to update the plan. Okay, I'll call the question on that motion.
Yes.
Yes.
Chair Dare,
Yes.
Vice Chair Franz,
Yes.
Commissioner Alley,
Yes.
Commissioner Brown,
Yes.
Commissioner Morfin.
Yes.
So that motion carries. And
Okay,
the-
I have a question though, sorry. If the staff doesn't know what the update of the plan is gonna be, or are they just gonna give a ballpark estimate of redoing the plan that's unknown what the plan is gonna check? Does my question make sense?
Yeah.
Okay,
So basically what we're gonna do is, this is our old plan,
Mhm.
right? And if we need to update the plan, one, we're gonna look all the things I think Commissioner Franz mentioned. This is all the things we said we were gonna do. If we need to track what was done and how did we do it, what data do we have, which staff can start that process. And then if we need to update it to make it current, we can ask, well, how much would that cost? Based on updating, and then we, including the commission, saying, okay, these are the priority we want to work on. Like I said, SB 1383 is one of them.
Mhm.
So on those, how much is it when we want to put that? Because part of it would be, I think SB 33, we actually have to change our city ordinance. It's one of them, because the state is requiring that. So all those, we can get an estimate.
Okay.
But then bring it back.
okay.
Do you want the commissioners to more thoroughly review the 2011 plan to provide you with specific
Feedback.
direction or feedback on what they definitely want included in the next plan? I mean, I think this is a pretty impressive plan for 10 years ago. It just didn't
That's why I
ring-
said they were ahead of their time.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I
Right. So
agree.
you want the commission to email you individually, not as a whole, don't reply to all, any suggestions that you might definitely want included in the plan or think
But
don't
that would be
need
helpful with
to
the
be
estimate
included in
also.
this plan, then he can include that in the request for quotes.
Right. That's what I mean. If somebody has a very large scope, it's going to be significantly more than if
Right.
you actually have a narrower scope for the update.
And that would be great.
And if you don't get any suggestions, asking for quotes on updating this plan and similar content with current legal requirements is probably an okay starting point for a quote.
That's good.
So the initial motion to allocate funds has been withdrawn?
Yes.
So one last question for this. So we don't have any metrics on this, any data to go off of, just what is on this original 2011 program. That's all we have to go by.
Yeah, so the one we have is what, like VPU may have some because they work with businesses that included that. So it may be out there is somewhere. So what we this plan is to get whatever we have that was done, if we have it, to include and bring, because that'll be the update, right? To update. If we're gonna update this, what do we do? So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go back and take 2011. This is what we said we were gonna do. What have we done, including all our departments? So if you work with VPU and you change all your LED light bulbs, and we have that data, and that we'll have that as a matrix to bring back. Now, what we will not have is, and one said, oh, we said we were gonna have 50% of earning businesses switch out their lights, right? Because that was not included in the original plan.
Now, are you talking about you'll gather that data if we approve a revision of the policy of the program?
Right,
Correct?
based on the motion to that's the whole idea of updating, right? Because we want to update it and you want to know.
So we won't have that before we send recommendations on what to add.
Right,
That's what
you
I'm trying to
won't,
see.
right.
We don't have any data to look at.
Yeah,
in order
right
to
now I
evaluate
don't
what
have
we
it.
feel should be added to the new. Okay.
Right, I don't. Because for example, if you read it, part of it was purchasing reusable, using paper and all that. We don't. I'm trying to do what's our purchasing, we don't have that. So I don't want to give you something and say, and then we don't have that information. Yeah.
So part of our comments to you might be maybe like ways to evaluate in the next plan, maybe to put in measures that ensure that the results get tracked, as an example.
Definitely, yes. That's one of my main things. That's why I say we have to have a matrix with timelines on it so it can be tracked and it can report back. And my goal is hopefully you guys stick around and finish your term. So, because I think that's another issue too, when it kind of go dormant and it gets, things drop. So if we have
more than one meeting a year, we'll get there.
Yeah. So that's the goal. If we meet frequently and this exchange happening, then those things come back. But when it drops and we lose, it's kind of, I think things other priority comes in, and it kind of. And the other thing I'm hoping to do also to have a specific budget for these things that we said we're gonna do, so that again, how is that happening and what are we bringing back? So.
I think staff can take a look at the plan. I mean, I see in here, I just scrolled away from it. Support implementation of a high-speed rail system. We've done that since I've been here. So I think staff could look at this plan and maybe provide, no, we weren't here in 2000, none of us were here in 2011,
Nope.
All of you included. So I think they adopted this great plan and then it just went on a shelf, which happens a lot with plans, but we've done some of this stuff. We've had meetings on high-speed rail systems, and that's kind of out of our control. So we can provide you with an update on what we've done regarding that. And there's probably other things that we can, we offered the businesses an incentive to do LED lights, right? So that's part of this.
Like I said, we visit businesses to do that, but unfortunately we didn't.
Right, so there's some things that we can provide a little bit of update. It's not like we did none of this. So we'll gather.
Agreed. I think that's why we think that there's validity. I mean, I think we've seen the results, so we should know what went well and it'll help for the next plan.
So perhaps when we come back in December, we can have quotes from potential vendors and also provide some updates on some of this. But the full update would be rolled into the updated plan.
That's correct.
Yeah.
Can I get an email address for where to send comments?
FAGYIN, Freddie Agin, FAGYIN @ci.vernon.ca.us. And we'll email that out. We'll email that out to the commission as well.
Thank you.
If there's no other questions on this item.
Move to oral? Okay. I'd like to move to oral reports.
Staff doesn't have any oral reports.
Okay. Are there any reports from commission members or staff?
Nope. Nope.
Okay.
Can I understand what the when we say staff, how many staff we're talking about? Freddie, who do you have? Or how many people?
So right now I have 4 full-time staff, 1 temp, and then we're in the process of recruiting 2 full-time inspectors and then 1 technician. So to answer your question, when you say staff, also it's not just my department, that's all city. Because if power have done something or they need to, part of it affect them, we're going to engage them to provide that. So typically when meetings, when you hear staff, that's including all city staff. So it will not just be my staff, it's whoever is involved and,
Sure.
relate to that work. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Without any further business, I adjourn this meeting at 4:15.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Nice to meet you, Alan.
Nice to meet you. We'll see you in person, hopefully in December.